On today's Locked On Senators, the season is over for Josh Norris.
And DJ Smith said he was going to make some changes to the lines, and he did. Even on the back end, Thomas Chabot has a new partner.
And Ridley Greig is getting set to make his NHL debut. All that's coming up, and it's brought to you by Farm to Fork. Visit farm2forkdelivery.ca and taste the farm to fork difference. You will never go back to grocery store meats. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 719 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Monday, January 23rd, and Pillzy, I had a dramatic pause in the intro, but I mean it when I say the season is over.
Yeah, I mean, we've wrestled with, okay, is this team going to make a push for playoffs? Doesn't look like that's happening. Is this team bad enough to tank? No, they're not bad enough to tank. We're comfortable being in the mushy middle. Now I think we need to change our approach for a third time, Ross, and it's hello, darkness, our old friend. We're going to be spinning the draft Tankathon lottery wheel a lot more often on this show, unfortunately.
Apropos to nothing, Bob McKenzie is doing his latest draft rankings today.
Great.
Sens are off until Wednesday, by the way. We'll touch a little bit on the Winnipeg game, but I would point you to the postcast if you want analysis on that 5-1 loss where the Senators were just lifeless. Ever since that third goal where Blake Wheeler just finished off 3 minutes of offensive zone time, it was really a microcosm of what this season has been for the Ottawa Senators. Unfortunately, their lone goal scorer is now out for the year. Josh Norris off a face-off. The shoulder looked good there, but you could tell at the end of the game, he tweaked it. You looked it up. How long did he sit on the bench at the end of the game? Because he didn't play for the last couple minutes.
Yeah, he didn't play the last 6 or so minutes of that game, and his line mates did, so that was a clear sign. And we saw the trainer, Dom Micheletta, telling DJ Smith something, and heads were shaking. Norris was sitting on the bench. You knew he wasn't getting back in there, and maybe you thought, okay, he tweaked it. Maybe he's going to have to rest up for a little, maybe miss a game or two here. But it just, if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you know there's no such thing as a tweak shoulder injury for a center, because we've seen this before, and it's so unfortunate that it's happened again. It was a nice little story. Norris rehabbing. He's coming back. He's going to play. Maybe this is the boost that this team needs. It puts Shane Pinto back into that third line spot. Brady Tkachuk's best friend is back. But, I mean, this is classic Ottawa Senators. Like, we get a taste of something good, Ross, and then it's taken away.
Yes, it is. 38 games he missed, and he was back for 3. And now, season-ending shoulder surgery for Josh Norris. I would imagine the good news is he's back for camp at this point. If you're having a 6 months recovery,
it sucks that that's our spin zone, Ross. It sucks.
But there's a lot of discourse going online. Where are you at with the whole medical, not procedure, but the procedure of deciding what medical advice he was going to get? Because to me, I'm kind of split. Obviously, the Shane Pinto injury is still fresh from last year, where he came back early and then had to get surgery, out for the rest of the year. With Josh Norris, I think Kevin Lee made a great point at Bring Back Lee on Twitter, where they gave the player power to go look at as many doctors as he wanted before he made his own decision. And he went to 5, and if I recall correctly, 1 said that rehab would be okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I think you knew he was going to, again, Brandon Piller, not a doctor. You think he was in the impression that he was going to have to get shoulder surgery eventually. He was just trying to push that off and hope that he could rehab it, take time, come back and finish a half season and see where the Sens are at and hopefully help them make a playoff push. I mean, that's laughable at this point. Ross, do you want me to read the Kevin Lee tweet for our listeners here?
Yeah, sure. For people who are in the car. I just think it's a great point because everyone's quick to pile on, and even we tweeted out at Sens Central, like, it's not a great look when it happens twice to two important long-term pieces. But I think this brings some levity into the situation.
Yeah, so this comes from our good friend Kevin Lee at BringBackLee on Twitter. It reads, "For me, it's hard to judge this scenario when publicly Sens were going the anti-Eichel route and putting the power in the player's hands. As long as it was made clear to him rehab wouldn't guarantee anything and surgery could still end up happening, I'm kind of okay with how this played out." And that's the thing, like, either Josh Norris was going to get surgery and it's season over, or you try to rehab it, you see how it goes, and just either it can go well and you're not going to tweak it again and you can finish out the season, or it's not going to go well. It's a shoulder injury. That's a very vulnerable spot on a hockey player, especially a center. And look, he got a couple games in, it didn't work, and now he's going to need the surgery that ultimately it seemed like he needed before anyway. So I'm not sitting here being like, wow, the Ottawa Senators screwed this up or Josh Norris made a terrible decision. No, I don't think it's really anyone's fault. They tried this and it didn't work. So I'm fine with it. If the Senators were even within sniffing distance of the playoffs, maybe it's a different story. But that's as Ian Mendes wrote in his article today, that's a fantasy to think that that's where they are. The playoffs are so far out of contention. They're tied with the Montreal Canadiens right now in the standings. The Philadelphia Flyers are ahead of them, and they are in a position to get a wild card spot. Like, the Ottawa Senators, this season is over for them, not only for Josh Norris. The only thing to look forward to now, Ross, is let's see what you got with some of the Sens' top prospects. There's nothing else. And unfortunately, I know I said earlier, I don't care about tanking. I don't care about making the playoffs. I just want to see this team get wins, and where they land is where they're going to land. I don't think that's the case anymore. Like, this upcoming draft is so top heavy that the Ottawa Senators, we're back to tanking, Ross. Like, they're put in a position where they can finish in the bottom 10 for sure. Probably not in the bottom 5, but right around kind of 5 to 8 spot. Anyone without a contract next year, that's trade bait. Like, even we did an episode a week ago talking about extending Cam Talbot.
No, 2 weeks ago, be fair.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 2 weeks ago. You got to trade him now. Like, there's no point in keeping him around. This team is not ready to make any kind of push. This has deteriorated into a debacle, this Ottawa Senators team, and it's just so pathetic that we're here once again, Ross. We barely made it to half of the season, and we're here again. We're going to be talking about draft picks. We're going to be doing prospect profiles. We're going to be looking at who the Sens should be targeting, and it wasn't supposed to be this way.
The good news is that we're experienced in this. It's year 6 going on without playoffs for the Ottawa Senators. So there is that, and there are top prospects coming up and into the lineup. Ridley Greig has been recalled. We'll get into who he might play with, and also a giveaway. We are giving away 2 100-level tickets to the Ottawa Senators game this Wednesday, Ridley Greig's debut, right here coming up at the end of today's show. Stay tuned for that. We want to give a special shout out to Brad Amel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Brad, but we appreciate you for reaching out. He's got a pair of his own season tickets, but he's unavailable to attend, so he's allowing us to do the honors. We put up a Twitter giveaway, 213 entries so far. And we're going to give away those tickets coming up here next on Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Athletic Greens. And guys, I've been saying this, and it's not just a tagline. This is something that I've been using every single morning because A, it's simple, B, it tastes great, and it's great for my health. And I've been noticing the difference because Athletic Greens is so simple. It's just 1 scoop of AG1 into your cup of water every morning before you have breakfast, and 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and more will start your day off right. It supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, aging, all those things. That's 7 different things that it's helping you with, and it's lifestyle friendly. So whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, you're good. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, so they're not sweetening it up to make you like the flavor. No GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. And the best thing is, it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. If you're getting coffee every morning, switch that to AG1 because it is healthy for you. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in your cup of water every day. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do, guys, is go to athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutrition insurance.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Farm to Fork. Farm2forkdelivery.ca has you covered for all of your premium seafood and premium meats, and you can head to their website right now. I'm pulling it up if you're watching on YouTube. Easy to navigate, shop, specials. Like let's go through it here. The bundles, these are great for barbecue season. You just keep them in your freezer, and then when you know how many people are coming over, let's say your kids have a friend coming, you want to say, hey, I'm dad of the year. Hey, you want your friend to stay over for dinner? All good. We got the meats for you, right? Because we are always at farm2forkdelivery.ca, and because we used our promo code ZOOB15, so little Billy's friend is actually eating for free because you are a listener of Locked On Senators. We love our local sponsors, especially because we're supporting local, always believe in supporting local, and a big reason for that is also because it's a great product, just like the steak variety box. This is what we sent over to Mark Mathot, what we sent over to Laleem's Martian. 3 strip loins, 3 ribeyes, 3 top sirloins. That's perfect. All the meats at Farm to Fork are flash frozen, so they're individual. No worries about, you know how sometimes you'll get something and it'll like stick together. It's gross. No, everything's flash frozen, all individually portioned, so you can just go in and pull out exactly what you need for that day. Farm2forkdelivery.ca, and make sure you're using our promo code ZOOB15. Why is it ZOOB15? That's because we want to remind you that the 2 in farm2forkdelivery.ca is the number 2. So farm2forkdelivery.ca. You will never go back to grocery store meats. Go check them out at farm2forkdelivery.ca. All right, Pillzy. This might be the wildest set of lines I've ever seen of an NHL team, especially when we talk about the back end, which I want to do first. Thomas Chabot is paired with Nick Holden today at practice. My eyes almost popped out of my head when I saw that. We didn't mention after the game Saturday, Jacob Bernard-Docker reassigned to Belleville. Look, he had a bad few games. There's no question about that. But I've seen a lot of bad games out of some players who we're going to talk about right now, and they're all still in the NHL.
Yeah, Ross, I'm not convinced that these lines are going to stay all the way till Wednesday, or at least maybe that's me hoping not on the back end. I think up front, I mean, you got to try something new, so I don't mind that. But Nick Holden being Tom Chabot's partner, I don't anticipate will stay. The Ottawa Senators aren't playing until Wednesday. I think we'll see Nikita Zaitsev back up there. Maybe he's just giving him some extra days to kind of get right here. But yeah, it is unfortunate that JBD didn't have a good stretch of games here. And at this point, though, I don't know if they just sent him down to save some money because the Sens don't play till Wednesday or what's going on there. But I would like to see JBD come up even more. I know earlier on I said keep him down there, let him play top minutes in Belleville, get comfortable, develop a little bit more. But at this point, this is a lost season for the Ottawa Senators. And unfortunately, Ross, it's probably a lost season for the Belleville Senators as well, who sit last in their division. another loss. I think that's 5 straight losses for Belleville, and they're not even close to playoffs here, 7 points out with other teams having games in hand as well. So it's not like they're making a playoff push. So we need to see what we have from JBD here. I hope he gets called back up. Ian mentioned it in his article, like the Ottawa Senators, all they talk about is trying to find top 4 right shot defensemen externally. Why don't you see if you got one in-house? And the season's lost, so just see what JBD has. I'm hoping they will call him back up because I don't want to see Nick Holden play top pair minutes here.
Nor do I. And the Belleville Sens don't play again until Wednesday, same night as Ottawa. So it's not like, oh, go down and play a game and feel better about yourself doing that. No, I think especially where JBD's at in his development now, he should be playing NHL games. And not only that, he should be practicing against NHL players to get better for the games so that he's more prepared when those opportunities do come up, because he is kind of that prototypical calm defenseman that can play on the other side of a more mobile defenseman like a Shabbat or a Sanderson or a Brandstrom even, for that matter. But instead, he's in the minors while we watch the corpse of Nick Holden drag around the ice. Like, I just, man. Yeah, and Nick Holden was good last year. We were both on board with him getting the 1-year extension, but we thought it was as a 6-7 defenseman. He's played in almost every single game this year, if not all. And I'm just wondering what the point is about having they talk about all these we need veteran defensemen in the lineup, but none of them can play very well. So where do you draw the line between guys who have been good in the past and guys who are still good now? I think that's something that the Senators have had trouble
big time
pointing out, or they've had trouble identifying is the word I was looking for. And that's a huge indictment of a management team, talent evaluators, as Pierre Dorion told us. That's what he considers himself. Well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of talent on the back end. And I think that when you don't have talent, why not go? Because prospect, the hope is eternal, Pillzy. And that's where we're hoping for up front as well. The Senators are about to play their 5th player from the 2020 draft. That in itself is pretty impressive. Now, not all of them were great debuts. Like Cole Reinhardt took that penalty in the 3rd period. But obviously that was under extenuating circumstances with the COVID running through the team. Igor Sokolov got 8 games, and we know the 2 studs in the top 5, Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson. But now Ridley Greig is going to join them. I think with that, I can pull up the lines. I wanted to leave it as a tease as we talked about the decor, but he's going to start out right where Josh Norris was, which means he didn't change anything. I guess, kind of, but he's leaving DeBrincat and Giroux on the wings. Ridley Greig will play center there, which is super cool because I retweeted at Sens Central again. When we had Ridley Greig on in 2020, he told us that Claude Giroux was one of his favorite players growing up. And then he told us most recently, or we heard in an interview this summer, that, wow, one day I might be able to play on the same team as him. Well, fast forward about a month, and now you're playing on the same line as him, kid. So that's a pretty cool moment for Ridley Greig.
Yeah, it's a very cool moment, and that was cool to see us talking about that years ago, and he gets this opportunity, especially Ross. At that point, I don't think the hype train for Giroux to Ottawa was fully left the station. Like you mentioned it at the end there. Giroux, good Ottawa boy. We'll see what happens here, but it's an awesome story. And look, I really thought that Ridley Greig should have stayed in Belleville. I still don't think he's fully ready, and I still don't think bringing him up to the NHL is the best move. But like I mentioned, that was when I was under the impression that Belleville was in a position to make a playoff push, and I thought that would be good for his development. But now this is a lost season. Let's see what you got from Ridley Greig. Let's see if he can handle this. Let's see if he's able to come in and play center in the NHL. I really thought he was going to start in the NHL as a winger. So it's very interesting to see him getting the opportunity to play up the middle here.
Well, much like Josh Norris, I wouldn't be surprised if Ridley Greig doesn't take faceoffs and Giroux does it for him.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the smart thing for sure.
Yeah, but it will be exciting to see Ridley Greig. Igor was just telling us the guy's fearless, even playing against men. We saw the Clifford moment that Igor told us about. Sens prospects, our guy, he was able to dig that clip up. Top line is Stützle between Brady Tkachuk and Mathieu Joseph. We'll get that opportunity. He's now played 2 games on a back-to-back since returning from his long injury and then healthy scratch. So certainly DJ was being honest when he said they now welcome him back with open arms because he's up on the first line And that's a position. I know it was Norris, not Stützle in the center, but he's had success playing with Brady before in that short stint at the end of last season. So we'll see what Mathieu Joseph can do up there. DJ saying he wants a worker on every line. So I'm assuming Giroux's the worker on the second line. Brady's the worker on the top line. Third line, Pinto, I guess. Pinto's playing between Brassard and Batherson. And, I mean, this is a wake-up call to Drake, I'd imagine, being down on the third line.
It's about time, though. Like, this guy's just getting shelled defensively every single night. Leads the league in the worst plus-minus stats of minus 32. Like, he has 40 points, and he's a minus 32. It's insane. So there has to be some sort of consequence for Drake Batherson there, and I think putting him on a line with Pinto, hopefully that will help boost the bottom six scoring, but I am a little surprised that Brass is still on that line. I thought DJ would keep Gambrell there for sure to have a worker on that line, because we hoped Pinto would have a two-way game, but he hasn't really been able to figure that out this year. And I'm not kind of smiting Pinto for that. It's tough to be a centerman, a young centerman in this league. So I'm not expecting him to shine defensively. So I don't really put the blame on him there. But yeah, Brass, Pinto, and Batherson, I'm not exactly sure who DJ's worker is on that line.
Well, the third line has three workers, skill optional. Mark Haslick in between Parker Kelly and Austin Watson round things out. Dylan Gambrell is your extra today at practice. Pillzy, we just got a note from the owner at Farm to Fork, and we've got an updated promo code to tell you about, and this is a doozy. Promo code is SENS40, and you're going to get $40 off your first order at Farm to Fork.
Should you reread that? 40?
40. SENS40. SENS 40. Good for $40 off your first order. Get the freezer family package. Get this. 233 meals are in the freezer package, and that works out to about $4 a meal. So I would be all over that right now. Sends $40 off your first order at Farm to Fork.
That's insane. I mean, empty out the freezer and make room. That is incredible. Wow. Our friends at Farm to Fork are hooking you guys up.
Wow. And we're going to hook you guys up with 2 Sens tickets coming up also today in Sens history. Almost a little eerie. I'm going to tell Pillzy what I'm thinking right after a quick word from our favorite sponsors.
Ross, I am very excited. This is a word from our new sponsor. And guys, this is an absolute doozy. It's our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel, you heard that right. The NFL playoffs are here. Don't I know it? We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sportsbook in America. It's FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. We're going to hook you guys up. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, join today and get started with, this is not a typo, I'm going to reread this over again, $150 in free bets, Ross. Guaranteed. Yes, you heard that right. When you place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $150 in free bets guaranteed. All you got to do is just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with same game parlay. Ross, I had myself a weekend betting on the Cincinnati Bengals, and I did it all at FanDuel because that is the place to place all your sports wagering. It's all on an app, so it's nice and easy. It's secure, it's safe, it's super easy to use. So football fans, do not miss out. Place your $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Pillzy. today in Sens history, Dave Allison fired, replaced by Jacques Martin. Senators making a coaching change on this day in 1996. You know what happened the next season?
Sir.
Sens made the playoffs for the first time in franchise history.
Ross, I feel like we're at a point where Sens making the playoffs for the first time ever makes sense in my head. I don't remember what it's like to watch Sens playoff hockey.
Well, they've already exuded their longest streak without playoffs, beating the expansion Senators. Unreal.
That's great. Ross, I think we
picked a great time to start a Sens podcast.
Yeah, we really did. I mean, our old title was Making Sense of the Sens. I'm glad that's not our title anymore, Ross, because we are unable to make sense of these Sens. Like, I don't know. This is just absolutely bonkers this season.
New ownership coming soon.
Good. Thank God.
Man. Where are you at? Let's get because you said in the first segment that you need to rejig the expectations. Like, what are they? They're playing the Islanders on Wednesday, and then the Leafs Friday, the Habs Saturday, and the Habs next Wednesday, and then they've got 10 days off.
Ross, I hate that this is where I'm going. I'm so disappointed in the Ottawa Senators. I'm disappointed that this is where we're at again. It's time to tank. Roll out, yeah. Get the militia ready. Open up the storage facilities where all the tanks are stored, and full steam ahead. It's time to tank. There's no chance this team makes the playoffs. Even at their best, they're barely able to beat contending teams. Ross, you mentioned it. We were in it was a mirage. We were in fantasy land when we thought the Ottawa Senators' December winning streak was so good. They didn't beat any good playoff contending teams. They're not able to stack up with the big boys in the NHL. Josh Norris coming back was supposed to be a ray of light. Well, he's out for the season again. This team is not able to do anything that would make me believe they can have a big run here. The goaltending duo is terrible. Like, the stats for the last stretch of games here, neither of these guys have been good. Philip Gustafsson is lighting it up over in Minnesota. The D-core is in shambles. Like, nothing's going right here. Nick Holden is put on the top pair because DJ Smith is like, well, we got to try this. We haven't tried this. Maybe this will work. The top six is elite, and they're still getting scored on 5-on-5 with ease. With ease, Ross. The only time this team has a chance to win games is if they get 9 goddamn power play opportunities. You're not going to get that every night. And even with that, Ross, they have to go to overtime and barely win it. Like, it's tank time. Like, I'm gonna start looking at Scott Wheeler's articles. I'm gonna read that Bob McKenzie article you got. I'm gonna start watching KHL, MHL clips. I'm doing a scouting trip to Finland to see who the next best third pair right shot defenseman can be.
Big.
It's an absolute joke. It is a joke where this team is at. They spend so much money. How much money did they spend in this offseason? They trade away draft picks. They bring in veterans. They sign biggest deals in franchise history. And they're one of the worst teams in the NHL.
Yes, they are. They are. They are right down near the bottom of the standings, tied for second last in the Eastern Conference. Only Columbus is below them and the Montreal Canadiens.
Yep.
Let that sink in, hey? But when it comes to the league standings, the West is complete tire fire. So Ottawa currently in 8th last place. They're 25th in the league right now. Still have that much better than most goal differential, only minus 19. Montreal Canadiens minus 46. But at the end of the day, who cares? It's all about what you put in the win column and the point totals. Now, the good news and something to look forward to on Wednesday, where we'll be giving away this pair of tickets, section 102. I've got the random Twitter picker. So we're going to do a draw. There's no funny business. If you're listening to this and you don't believe it, you can go on and watch on YouTube. It's going to be a live draw. Now, I will say there were, I believe, 2, if I saw it properly, Habs fans that entered. If they win, Pillsy, if Jack Eye gonna give it to you wins as their username, do we hit it again? We need rules set in stone, or do we give it to them?
No, if they win, they win. Ross, I feel like this is not a giveaway. I'm sorry to the people that win these tickets.
Oh,
You are now being put in a place where you're obligated to go watch these Ottawa Senators. So
hey, you and I know what it's like to see Ridley Greig's preseason debut. You can only think that his regular season debut has to have a little something to it.
sure, I know we're supposed to hype this off, Ross, but I am so sad. I got so worked up there. I can't believe I just said we're tanking and it's January. Like, you're going to have to carry the rest of the show. I am in absolute shambles here. This is brutal.
It's the absolute reality of it. By the way, Pierre Dorion was at Chicago versus Kings last night. So he's just following around the LA Kings at this point.
Or he's going all in for Seth Jones for all we know. Like, my God.
I don't think that with ownership pending that he should be able to put on a contract that's longer than 2 years onto this payroll.
I don't they shouldn't be acquiring anyone. Like, the only moves that should be made, Ross, are players going out for picks.
Yep. That's brutal.
And if you're gonna do moves, it's gonna happen in the offseason. Do not do anything like right now. They need to tank.
Yes, they do. But hey, misery loves company. We'll be here each and every step of the way. The postcast goes live after every Sens game, and we've got the Locked On Senators podcast 5 days a week right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We appreciate each one of you guys for making us your first listen every day. We are inching very close to 10,000 followers on Twitter. That'll be a fun milestone. So go head on over to Twitter at Sens Central and make sure you hit that blue button there at the top of the screen. Ridley Greig has 131 points in 107 games since being drafted. That's across WHL, AHL, and the World Juniors. So there's a little bit of positivity that I'll sprinkle in for Wednesday's game as Ridley obviously brings a rambunctious style, and now he'll get a chance to just jump into the top 6, which is kind of what we were hoping Igor would get, where they don't just plug him on the 4th line and play 6 minutes. But I did find it interesting. Dorion said on Friday that they wanted Ridley to have 50 games at least in the AHL. That was 1 game ago. And now apparently he's a top 6 NHL forward.
This team has no idea what they're doing. Like, Pierre Dorion is the one that makes that decision. And you said it. He said, I don't think Ridley Greig is ready. We're not going to rush him. We're not doing that.
He said, I'm worried about him playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
And now he's in the NHL next week.
They have no clue what to do right now.
Flustered, I think, is a very fair word. But how can you be flustered when it's one guy? Like, Norris is one guy out of the top 6. Everyone else is there. I just don't get why it was.
And this team was without Norris for so long. It's not like this is a new thing that it's like, oh, what do we do without Norris? That's been the situation pretty much all year. I don't know. Yeah, like, the only thing we can do, Ross, is spin zone it that this is exciting, and I'm not going to be party pooping Pillzy. Like, I am very excited that really Greig's going to be here and we get to see what he can do. I'm excited that he's going to get to play with his hero and the guy he looked up to in Claude Giroux. That is very exciting. So we need to spin zone the fact that wins and losses don't really matter. In fact, losses actually matter. That's what we want here. But we can get to see some of these prospects play, and we can try to have fun watching them.
Tank Watch begins, and it's game 46 of the NHL season.
We're spinning the wheel, Ross. I know you're the wheel spin
wheel
guy, but we're spinning the wheel, yes.
Okay, let's do the giveaway first and then a spin, because I've already got it pulled up here. We are giving away 2 100 level tickets. Thank you to Brad.
Yes.
Everyone go follow him on Twitter, Brad Amel90. I said, hey, for the giveaway, should we make people follow you? And he goes, no, make people follow you.
What a
Brad,
good guy.
Just a good dude. Told me he's going to be in Vegas this week, so it could be worse for Brad having to miss this game on Wednesday. So as you can see, we're going through it. We're no funny business and continue. Then we've got 220 entries are loaded. Cool.
All right.
Continue.
Here it
Begin
is.
draw. I have to make sure. Okay, it's going to pick one winner. So it's a pair of tickets for one winner. Okay?
Yes.
Here
Let's
we
do
go.
it.
Mitchell DJ Owen.
Mitch.
You are the winner.
Woo!
2 tickets for Wednesday's game at the Canadian Tire Center. Watching the New York Islanders come to town for Ridley Greig's NHL debut. Congratulations, Mitchell DJ Owen. If you don't reach out to us by tomorrow, I always like seeing if they listen to the pod.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch Mitch if he's a real fan here.
Yep, 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will reach out to him. But for now, Mitchell, you let us know. Shoot me a DM on Twitter at Sens Central, and we'll get you hooked up with that pair of tickets to see the Senators host the Islanders Wednesday, section 102. You better be loud when you head to the game. All right, now we can pull up the Tankathon Spinorama. The Senators currently have the 8th best odds of drafting Connor Bedard. My God, I cannot believe we're doing this right now. Like we've done in the postcast, the vibes, we ride high and we ride low in the postcast. But to do it on a Monday episode of LOSP is both depressing and almost impressive to an extent, because this is the 6th year that the Senators, I know they do this for elite prospects where it's like most viewed players and they have different geographical locators. I got to think that over the last 6 years, Tankathon has been used more in Ottawa than anywhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
My God. All right, 1 spin each.
Yeah, 1 spin each.
Okay. Philadelphia, number 1. Chicago, number 2. The Senators will draft 9th overall. All right, Pillzy, you're up.
Hit it.
Anaheim 1st. San Jose 2nd. Ottawa stays in 8th.
Cool.
Now,
Cool.
spin zone. 6 of the top 7 teams here, 5 of the top 6 are all out of the Western Conference.
Yeah, that's our spin zone.
That's where we're at right now. If anyone has any positivity to pass over, please shoot us a note in our comments on YouTube, because we would like to exacerbate them. We would like to take a positive look at what's going on. But Josh Norris is out for the season, and that sucks.
Ross, all we can get positive and excited for is the future in prospects. Hopefully we can see what they got in the NHL and see how they've developed and what we have in them, and can they fill roles in this roster next season. In the past, to look forward to Chris Neal's jersey retirement game. That's all we got. I don't even, before, and again, I'm referencing Ian Mendez. He says, this team set the bar so low this season, just playing meaningful games, and they missed it by a goddamn mile. They're not even close. That was such a low bar to set. And now we're sitting here, and that's we changed it from meaningful games to, okay, meaningful games probably not going to happen. Let's beat our rivalry teams. Let's beat Buffalo. Let's beat Detroit. Let's beat Montreal. I don't want to beat those teams anymore. I don't want to beat Montreal, because now the Sens are trying to out-tank them. The only team to ever lose, to be 32nd out of 32nd in the league.
I don't want to lose to Montreal this weekend. Or Toronto. Because if Toronto beats us and Matt Murray has a good game, I don't usually say us when I talk about the Sens, but the way Leafs Nation finds my tweets all the time, that I'm on the ice on Friday night against
Okay, wait, no, let me take that back. It is tank season, but I do get joy out of beating Montreal and Toronto. So quick rewind. I do want to beat Montreal and I do want to beat Toronto, but that doesn't make sense because this team should be tanking in full force.
Coming up on Wednesdays, Locked On Senators, men over Stieg. Pillzy,
Yeah.
You showed me Colorado. I didn't know who they were, and now I've just been bumping them all week long.
How much of a banger is Juliet?
Juliet is all time, and One Last Time, I think it's called. We Can Dance One Last Time. Yeah, that's a banger too. Big fan, and we're excited to talk with Menno on Wednesday's show.
Yes.
Get back to our Sens Central Citizens interview season coming up soon as well, with the Senators on a break to start February as well. Pillzy, any final thoughts on this extremely positive Monday edition of Locked On Senators?
My final thoughts is I'm sorry, Sens fans.
You deserve better.
You deserve better. We all deserve better. We put time and time again, this team has been labeled as the laughingstock of the league, and we said no. We have hope. We're gonna have great drafts. We're gonna develop. We had the off season of a lifetime. We brought in Claude Giroux. We got Alex DeBrincat. This team is trending upwards. Finally, everyone that laughed at us, we're gonna keep those receipts. We're gonna retweet them. We're gonna let them know the Sens are back. The Sens are back to what they've been the last 6 years. That's what they're back to. And this community has put their faith into this team. They've put their money into this team. Like, tickets are still selling. The attendance is high. Jersey sales are high. And this is what Sens fans get in return.
Yes.
You deserve better.
You're pretty much taking the words out of my mouth from last week. Like, everyone was saying, "Oh, Ross, you went off last week." Well, now Pillzy's turn to shed some realism on where the Senators are at and just the disappointment among fans. Pillzy, my final thoughts are going to be DJ's final thoughts. Zaitsev is cleared, so Nikita Zaitsev's season returns on Wednesday. That's where we're at. Tyler Mott is getting close, and now we're waiting on Rourke Chartier, who I'm surprised we haven't heard from management say, you know what, we got a lot of injuries. A lot of key centermen are out, just like Rourke Chartier, just like it was with Clark Bishop last year.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see. The clock's ticking, and something is going to happen eventually. It's rock bottom, and maybe we can't hear the vibrations at the top of the water right now from where we are so deep with our scuba gear on. Oxygen tanks aplenty to go around. But for now, we wait until a major move is coming, because I think the winds of change can't be too far away. Remember, the data center is open for the Senators' finances. No, I'm not holding up that USB. That would be cool. That'd be an all-time viewed episode if we got the data for the Sens' finances.
Should we start a GoFundMe to try to make enough money just to take a look at the data?
I don't know. I've heard bad things about starting GoFundMes.
True, and neither of us are lawyers or impersonating lawyers.
No, neither of us are. We'll stay away from that for now. All right, Pillzy. This was certainly a show, and we hope everyone shoots us a positive note on YouTube.
Yeah.
I would like some positivity, and we will bring that to you tomorrow on Locked On Senators. The Senators will practice again tomorrow before hosting on Wednesday. Mitch Owen, congrats, buddy. He's a Ravens fan, Pillzy, so you got to feel all right handing it to him after your Bengals took down the Ravens just last week. For today, though, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.